So welcome back to another one, you guys. If you were new to the channel, my name is Andrew with Younger Mitsubishi here in Hagerstown, Maryland. For more information on our inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. So we are in the 2023 Outlander today because this is Mitsubishi's three-row SUV. This is Mitsubishi's best seller as well. Not only that, you get America's best warranty, being 5 years, 60,000 mile bumper to bumper, 10 years, 100,000 miles on the powertrain, but we actually double that here to 20 years, 200,000 miles on the powertrain, so it doesn't get any better peace of mind than that. Not only that, we don't charge over MSRP either, so in this day and age, that is a big deal, but ultimately we will be testing out and going over everything about this one. So having said that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it, and as always, let's start with pricing. And so there will be several different trim levels for the 2023 Outlander. First one being the ES, starting at $29,115. SE for $32,165. Black Edition starting at $33,565. SEL, which actually is the one we are in today, starting at $35,865. And then there is a 40th Anniversary Edition, which is new for 2023, starting at $41,715. But I know a lot of people are going to be wondering right now, why didn't you say the PHEV or the plug-in hybrid? That one I typically reserve for its own separate video, and I will be doing a review on that as soon as I find one. So I just did want to mention that. But regardless of trim level that you go with, power plant on the Outlander is going to be the same. Powering the beast is a 2.5 liter direct injected inline 4-cylinder, putting out 181 horsepower at 6,000 RPM, 181 pound-feet of torque, coming in at 3,600 RPM, power sent to the front wheels or all wheels through a CVT with paddle shifters, which you guys know we will of course be testing out here in a little bit. 0 to 60 time approximately 8.2 seconds, with MPG numbers coming in at 24 in the city, 31 on the highway, taking regular unleaded fuel. And so before we do any kind of fun acceleration test here in the Outlander, I wanted to mention to you guys the drive modes. There's actually a circular dial directly behind the shifter, and so through that drive mode dial, it actually gives you different settings like eco, normal, tarmac, gravel, and snow, and actually mud as well if you were to go with the all-wheel drive or all-wheel control system only. And by the way, Outlander comes with an all-wheel control system, which is kind of a four-wheel drive system made for rally racing. So having said that, you are going to be 100% on point in the snow or gravel, because all-wheel control system by Mitsubishi was made for racing in those particular climates, in the snow and the gravel. So did want to mention that. But ultimately, these drive modes will adjust things like the shift points of the throttle response and the traction control settings. So having got now all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straightaway. Let's put the paddle shifters and acceleration here to the test, and let's see how quickly the paddle shifters are going to react, and let's see how quickly we can get this thing here up to speed. All right, so before we do this paddle shifter and acceleration test, I wanted to mention to you guys there is a manual shift mode. Just slide the shifter all the way to the back yet again, and I have now done that. So we are projecting in first gear here on the digital gauges, which you guys will love. We'll get to that in a second, but 3, 2, 1, yo baby. Huh. All right, so it's a CVT, so it's technically simulated shifting, but having said that, the paddle shifters are lightning quick. I like that. Not only that, this is a wonderful digital gauge cluster. I like how everything that you pass is lit up in this like royal blue. It's such a cool design and cool colors to the shifter. So to take it out of manual shift mode, just slide it all the way to the back yet again, and that gives control back to the Outlander. But having said that, it's not the quickest thing in the world, but with 181 horsepower, 181 pound-feet of torque, and a three-row SUV, it's kind of to be expected. Honestly though, 0 to 60 in 8.2 isn't bad. You're definitely not going to have any issues emerging onto the highway. But having said that, a little more power in this thing might not be a bad thing. Maybe a naturally aspirated V6 I would personally prefer, but the Outlander still has plenty of power, so you're not going to have any issues. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. So up front, you will find 13.8-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 13-inch ventilated rear discs. As far as that 60 to 0 stopping distance goes, it's going to come in at an insanely impressive 115 feet. Let's just tap the brakes here. It feels great. It feels perfect. This is the perfect braking feel for the Outlander. Typically with three-row SUVs, a lot of times you will find a soft braking feel with no emotion, and it's not the right feeling, especially for a three-row SUV, because you want to know you're going to be able to stop relatively quickly, especially if you got kids in the back, which you more than likely will in this particular vehicle. So 115 feet is brilliant, because when you compare it to other three-row SUVs, a lot of them will come into the 130s. Maybe the Volkswagen Atlas, for example, comes in at 139, so 115 feet is absolutely brilliant. That's exactly where you want to be and where I want to be at in a 3-row SUV. So well done, Mitsubishi, on the braking feel overall. Then touching on suspension and handling, up front you're going to get an independent strut type front suspension. In the back, independent multi-link rear suspension. As far as ride quality goes, it's been perfectly fine on these smooth Hagerstown roads so far today. Honestly, I haven't had any issues, but really what impressed me the most was the steering feel. Steering feel is definitely weighted on the heavier side of things, not to mention the 10-2 grips are bolstered like an M steering wheel in BMW. They are so thick, and it's perforated as well, so it's such a nice feel on the grips. And again, it's a heavier steering feel, so it feels like you're driving more of a sports car as opposed to a 3-row SUV for those reasons. So I'm 100% in love with the steering feel, I will say that. As far as cabin noise goes, we're going 45 miles per hour. I'll let you guys be the decider of that. Definitely not a whole lot of wind noise or road noise coming into the cabin, so honestly for me, it's been perfectly fine there. Touching on visibility, I can see perfectly fine out the back with those 2nd-row headrest up. Now, I'm not sure how it would look with a 3rd-row headrest up, and we'll get more into that a little bit later, but with just the 2nd row up, I can see 100% perfectly fine. Did want to also mention though, a head-up display is available. It doesn't come standard, but it is available for you if you wanted it, and that's going to project your speed limit, and safety features up onto your windshield, better help illuminating what is in front of you, so you're less likely to take your eyes off the road. So that's going to assist with forward visibility as well. But that pretty much rounds out the performance segment of this review, you guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior of our brand new 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander. All right, you guys, and so just now as it begins to rain, this is the 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander finished in black diamond, in case you were curious of our exterior color. By the way, this one's VIN number starts with a J, aka this one is built in Japan. So JDM SUV here, that is pretty cool. But as always, let's go ahead and start up front because this thing is blacked out and it looks dang good. So let me first start with, on top of the hood here, you do have the Outlander lettering spelled out horizontally. That is going to be finished in black. That looks dang good. Of course, to the sides, you actually have LED headlights coming standard on every single trim level across the board. Big fan of that. They do, of course, come with LED daytime running lights, which are actually going to be located on top here. That is what you guys are looking at right there. That looks pretty cool. Automatic feature with those headlights as well, meaning when it starts to get dark at night, those headlights will turn on automatically for you there. So little convenience feature. But just underneath of the headlights, you guys can see we do have fog lights. LED fog lights to be exact, and that comes on the SE trim level and up if you did want those. Chrome accenting surrounding those headlights as well. That looks dang good. Just to the very bottom then, you got some aluminum trim accenting kind of rounding out the front end, and just underneath the Mitsubishi logo, you have your adaptive cruise control sensor built into that front grille. So overall, very, very good looking front end on that Outlander. I would say one of the better looking ones and decades away from what it used to look like. So huge fan of the exterior front end here, but let's now go ahead and make our way to the side. All right, so now since we are around to the side of this one, all the way to the top, silver roof rails coming on the SEL trim level and up. So therefore we do have those up top. That is pretty cool. To go along with that silver trim, you got some belt line molding as well. That definitely looks good. There is a floating roof line towards the back on the C-pillar. You can't really tell because we have a black exterior design and the floating roof line is going to be in black, but on other colors available, that's definitely going to look pretty cool. I also have a gloss black A-pillar, but again, since we have the black exterior, you're not going to be able to tell yet again. Rear privacy glass is going to come standard across the board, so you got some privacy for the rear passengers there. Taking a look at the side mirrors, they are body-colored, power-adjustable side mirrors. They will be heated on the SE trim level and up with LED integrated turn signals then as well. Then take a look down at the wheel setup. Of course, there will be a couple different variations. 18-inch alloys for the ES. However, all other trim levels are actually going to give you what you are currently looking at, which is 20-inch two-toned aluminum alloys, and they look dang good in my personal opinion. They look right at home on our black exterior that we have with us here today. So overall, very good looking side profile yet again. Let's now go ahead and make our way to the back. All right, so starting all the way to the top up there, gloss black shark fin antenna. Just below that, rear spoiler with an integrated brake light. Just below that, rear window wiper, of course. You do have the SAWC badging found on the rear glass there. That is that all-wheel control system if you were to go with the all-wheel control variant as opposed to the front-wheel drive, of course. LED taillights actually do come standard on every single trim level across the board, so I'm a big fan of that as well. And if you happen to wander onto a Mitsubishi lot maybe on a Sunday where there are no salespeople to bother you, I guess you could say, you do have trim level badging found on the rear tailgate there. So that is a surefire way to distinguish what trim level you are actually looking at. You do have some aluminum trim found to the very bottom of the Outlander, and then just below it all, getting down in the brush here to show you guys, there actually is a single exhaust outlet. It is tucked away though, so having said that, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next. As always, here is that exhaust clip. So now, since we are around to the back of the Outlander, when it comes to opening that rear tailgate, there are several different ways to go ahead and do that. There is a button on the key fob. There's a button by the driver's side left knee. It is a power tailgate, so there's a button on the tailgate itself, but it is a hands-free power tailgate if you were to go with the SEL trim level and up. So kick your foot underneath, it's going to automatically open up if your hands are full, let's say. So that is pretty cool. But once opened up, cargo capacity behind that third row comes in at 11.7 cubic feet. Of course, if that was not enough space, you can of course fold that third row down, bumping that up to 33.5 cubic feet. Then with all rows folded, 79.7 cubic feet, which is about exactly the same size as my current 3-row Hyundai SUV, the Hyundai Santa Fe. So that is probably why I'm digging the size of this thing so much. But anyways, in the back cargo area, of course, do find cargo lighting. There is a 12-volt power outlet back there as well. You don't always get that. There's a cargo cover back there. There's grocery bag hooks. There's tie-down anchors. And then if you were to lift up underneath the cargo floor, there's actually some in-floor storage where you can put the third row headrest if it's not in use, or you can just take those headrests out if you never plan on using the third row and put maybe an ice scraper back there or a tire inflator kit or something like that. So did want to mention that. Then make your way to the third row legroom. That is going to come in at 28.7, which quite honestly isn't a heck of a lot. That's kind of less than my old Ford Mustang GT. So not a ton of space. Maybe small children might be okay, but do want to mention that. For reference, I'll give it a shot. I mean, even 6 feet tall, this is how much space I have back there. And there are some cup holders for the third row passengers, so I do want to mention that as well. But so then making our way up to the second row legroom, that is going to come in at 39.9 inches. Again, for reference, I mean, even 6 feet tall, this is how much space I had in the second row. So plenty of space for me back there. USB charging ports, there's going to be a regular one and then a USB-C, or USB-A and USB-C, I should say. By the way, that's for the SE trim level and up. But then if you were to go with the SEL trim level and up, you're going to get tri-zone climate control. So therefore the rear passengers can set their own temperatures. But not only that, heated rear seats for the SEL trim level and up. That is pretty darn cool. So spoil the rear passengers a little bit. I love that. Rear window sunshades are going to be optional for the SEL. We do have that option, so I am loving that back there. And by the way, if you were curious how many seats are actually in the Outlander, the answer to that question is going to be 7. 2 up front, 3 in the middle every time, and then 2 in the back, aka 7 total. So that is the answer to that question. There's also, surprisingly, this is one of the things that always gets me with the Outlander, upper and lower seat mat pockets. So typically you find the lower ones, but you very rarely find the upper ones for maybe like a cell phone or a tablet or something like that. So that is pretty cool. I love that they are up there. That's pretty cool. But anyways, then make our way up to the front seats. Manually adjustable cloth seating for the ES. SE trim level is going to add to that leatherette surfaces and heated front seats. And then the SEL trim is going to add to that power adjustable front seats, full leather seating, and memory settings for up to 2 different drivers found on the driver's side door there. So overall, seat comfort was actually 100% on point. I love the quilted leather that we have in this SEL as well, and that's continued onto the door. So it really improves the interior quality tenfold by just having that quilted leather like Audi traditionally does. So you would think this is a much more expensive car or SUV than it really is. So I'm a huge fan of that. But anyways, like I said, seating was plenty comfortable. But then take a look at the steering wheel. It continues to get better. Tilt and telescoping, of course, leather wrapped for the SE trim level and up. Heated steering wheel then is going to be optional for the SEL. So 10-2 grips, like I said, are super thick, and I kind of like the perforated feel to the steering wheel as well. So big fan of the design and the thick grips and all that fun stuff. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the startup. Let me start by showing you guys the key here. All of your buttons are located on the one side. Got your Mitsubishi logo on the top. Lock, unlock, and the button to pop the rear tailgate. But it is all keyless entry with a push button start for every single trim level across the board. Gotta love that. So all I'm going to do here is simply put my foot on the brake and press that engine start button located just to the right of the gauge cluster there. And so speaking of, when it comes to the gauges, if you were to go with the SEL SEL trim level and up, you will get this 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster. Otherwise, you're going to get an analog gauge cluster. So I do want to mention that. But since we have the digital gauge cluster, there's 3 lines on the left side of the steering wheel. If you press that, you have the ability to change the meter view, which is a silly way, honestly, of saying change the gauge look. So you can either choose to display kind of a traditional look, or you can choose to display my personal favorite, these kind of rolly thingies on the left and the right hand side, which look absolutely amazing. So huge fan of the customization that you have within the digital gauges. And of course, when you change to drive modes, this is another cool thing. It displays up there in incredible quality. It also has a picture of the Outlander for each individual driving mode. So if you put it in mud, it shows the Outlander going through some deep mud in the middle of a forest. If you put it in snow, it shows the Outlander going through some snow. So I love the illustrations and the graphics for the Outlander drive modes found on the digital portion of the gauges there. Big fan. But so now then, making our way to overall interior quality, you can get a panoramic sunroof. We don't have it today, but that's going to be optional actually on the SEL trim. Overhead sunglass holder is going to come standard across the board. Auto dimming rear view mirror is going to come on the SEL trim level and up. Wireless phone charger coming with the SE trim level and up, and that's going to be actually located just in front of the shifter here. Tri-zone climate control for the SEL trim level and up as well. And so, like I said, when it comes to overall interior quality, they crushed it. Mitsubishi did an amazing job with the overall interior quality. If you covered up the Mitsubishi logo on the steering wheel, you could swear to yourself you're looking at maybe an Audi or something like that. There's a little bit of hidden storage by the driver's side right knee. I like that. I like that there's a texturized silver finish around the shifter and drive mode selector. And speaking of, even the perimeter of the drive mode selector is finished in kind of a texturized, very high quality finish, just like the climate control settings. Like I said earlier, I like the texturized leather pattern that is on the seats continued onto the doors as well, even around the power window buttons, which are also texturized and finished in silver, not just a basic black plastic. They're texturized. And again, around the buttons, it's kind of got this carbon fiber texturized look, although it's not authentic carbon fiber, but it does feel nice. Like everything about the interior, from the gloss black finishes around the electromechanical parking brake, it's done in a very high quality way. Like they crushed it with the interior quality. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, you do have a 12-volt power outlet in front of the shifter, a couple USB charging ports. You got your dual cup holders behind the shifter, and within the center armrest, not a ton of space actually within the center armrest, so wouldn't mind if they made that a little bit bigger if possible. But like I said, overall, I love the interior quality on this thing. They did an amazing job. I'll just put it that way. But let's now go ahead and make our way to the infotainment screen, because it is going to differ amongst the trim levels. Go figure. 8-inch color touchscreen display coming with the ES, but all other trim levels, being the SE trim level and up, is going to get a 9-inch color touchscreen display. But either way, you still get Bluetooth and audio streaming. You still get Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, but with the 9-inch screen, you do get a factory navigation system if you were interested in that. You can actually check out fuel prices within that screen, stock information, weather information as well. So good bit included there, and of course your radio information. And so when it comes to the sound systems, there's a couple of them. You do have 6 speakers that come standard across the board, but there is a 10-speaker Bose sound system available, or I should say optional, for the SEL trim. So having said that, we don't have that Bose sound system, but fortunately we do have the 6 speakers. So let's go ahead and turn on the radio, see what we got playing today, and let's test out the clarity of this one. That's freaking good for a 6-speaker sound system. I gotta be honest, there is a ton of bass, and actually clarity was on point as well. Like I said, for 6 speakers, that's one of the better 6-speaker sound systems that I heard in quite a while. Don't get me wrong, the Bose sound system is gonna crush it. And I've had those sound systems in my cars before, and they're pretty darn reliable. They've never failed me, but for 6 speakers, like I said, that was pretty darn good. But last thing I want to mention to you guys on the infotainment screen is when you do put the Outlander in reverse, you will find a very high definition rear view camera coming standard across the board. Also, if you were to go with the SE trim level and up, you're going to get that surround view monitor you guys are looking at to the right, letting you know what is completely all around you, which is always is going to lead us into safety. And so to start, the Outlander is an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus, which is the very highest designation given by IIHS. That pretty much says it all right there. Front side carrying airbags do come standard, driver's knee airbag as well. In the back, you're gonna have latch, aka lower anchors and tethers for children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system, but also coming standard, forward collision mitigation system, blind spot monitoring system with rear cross traffic alert, lane change assist, reverse automatic braking then as well. Then if you were to go with the SE trim level and up, you're gonna get adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, lane departure prevention, and traffic sign recognition then as well. So overall, When it comes to my final thoughts, I think this thing is styled beautifully. It's definitely a very nice look, especially up front. I love the look up front. So overall, it's a very good looking SUV in my opinion. Bose sound system is going to be stellar. I think I reviewed it last year, if I remember correctly. That's why I'm saying that. I'm pretty sure that was absolutely amazing. Digital gauges are wonderful. They absolutely crushed it with those digital gauges on this thing. Personally, I would get the SEL all-wheel drive like we have today for the digital gauges, for the heated rear seats, and so many other features as well. So I'm a big fan of this particular configuration that we have, which is personally why I chose to drive this one and showcase it on the video. And so, but that is about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow Younger Mitsubishi on social media at the bottom of the screen. Be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button if you're into new car reviews and everything else that goes on at the dealership. We've been posting so many YouTube shorts lately, just introducing you guys to all of our staff, so they are quite entertaining. But that is about it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.